Welcome, dear Yarnchix friends. This is Yarnchix Podcast episode 38, and my name is Mimi. I podcast, write, make art, and look after children in the beautiful city of Berlin. This part of Berlin is called Wedding. That's why my name is Liebeswedding or Liebwed on Instagram, which is an abbreviation of the two words Liebes and Wedding, which means as much as dear wedding, because when I first set out with my account I wanted to write poetic love letters involving photography to my home place. I still care and love this space so much. Part of the reason why there is a community knit night initiated by me, but now growing within the group, and it's alive and kicking, called Liebeswedding Strickt. We're having online virtual knit nights now, as the COVID-19 crisis means, it's a pandemic. We have to stay home, we have to be safe, we can't go to the pub we usually would go to and sit together in. So if you're very interested in joining us, we have virtual knit night, which involves a lot of technology, but also really simple chatter under a post in my Instagram thread, as well as the local kind of Berliners meeting in a Zoom meetup, which is fun. We'll just see how it goes and how we can keep this community in connection. Today I'm going to podcast a lot about linen knitting, a lot about my current finished objects, as well as my works in progress. There is plenty, so I hope you've got a cup of tea or coffee or a big glass of water and you're ready. I've got my tea here waiting. And my kids have to go outside because I'm podcasting. So I hope you have a drink ready for, let's say, half an hour, 45 minutes of a podcast, and I'm going to show you a couple of glimpses of what's about to happen now, so you can get ready, get your knitting out, or your crochet, or your hand stitches. I'm excited to share a bit of time together with you now. That would have been a bit of a glimpse of what's coming in this podcast. There's always a kind of yarn shiny intro to my podcasts. If you go back, you'll see in the first couple of minutes after my introduction banter, you will see kind of the visual of what will come to the podcast, which I enjoy doing that, giving a bit of a flat lay imagery intro and a bit of time for you to get your stuff ready. So I hope now you've got your teas, coffees, drinks of whatever you prefer to drink whilst watching a podcast, and your crafts ready, because I have brought a lot. We're gonna open up with one of the funnest things in my making life, which is a knit along. I have launched the linomukakal in the second year this year on 1st of April. We had a No Fools But Linen Lovers Day on the 1st of April, and I've cast something on. What I'm going to share first is going to be my swatch stories. It's one of the highlights for me. Every podcast I try and share a little swatch story, which is kind of intensive chatter about a current swatch that I would have knitted. You might remember the Tink Brexit swatch story, which was kind of a bigger project. More about that another time, but I'm quite into my swatches. So the swatch story is basically content all relating to a swatch, and so especially for the linomukakal, I've swatched my little heart out. And actually I'm still swatching a third swatch for the same project. My swatch story today is for the linomukakal. This year I'm showcasing Midori Hirose's Ranunculus sweater. Well, I'm showcasing her as a designer because I love her designs, and one of my finished objects was actually a test knit for her. She is amazing and a dear friend. We met in Berlin a couple of times now, and it's just been so lovely to knit her test knit. I'm showcasing Midori Hirose's Ranunculus sweater especially because I have been meaning to knit it since I've met her, wearing it way back during Berlin Knits, the big festival in 2017. I just never got around to knitting a woolly one, and yeah, anyway, I just think it would be a great linen t-shirt. I have swatched my knitting needles hot because I thought I'll share with you how the different gauges will affect the t-shirt. This is Lino Muka held with 3 strands of yarn. And this was the first swatch, it's 2 strands of yarn. And I'm not sure, this is what I originally wanted to do, but I might like this dense linen heavy fabric, and I'll tell you why. The pattern is knit on a relatively large needle, which I'm gonna change anyway, so I'm a bit of a gauge playful knitter. So for this t-shirt I intend to knit it on a 4mm instead of a 6mm, which is the original needle for the woolen or the mohair version, resulting in a relatively loose gauge. And I wanted to densify it, so kind of knit the linen top very much with less of a net appearance. I'm still not sure if I'm going to use 3 strands or 2 strands. So at the moment I have said in my Ravelry that I'm going to hold it double, but I haven't cast on because I can't make up my mind. This will obviously be quite a loose t-shirty flowy fabric, very similar to the Mount Pleasanty which we knitted last year. And I can imagine messing about with the math, as in maybe knitting one of the larger sizes which exist in an updated file where Midori gives out sizes, I think ranging to XXXL. So I would be knitting the XL, holding the yarn double with a 4mm needle. So you see, it's going to be a bit more of an experiment, but I like that because it means with this linen t-shirt, should it look good for my ML size body, this would be you know, something on Ravelry which would probably help long term to have linen t-shirt, amazing, with this amazing pattern detail with this. Or I could hold it with 3 strands and I'll be slightly heavier. With linen it will then become a very drapey top, which I kind of like the idea. As it's a t-shirt, the sleeves won't be so long so it won't get too heavy. Will definitely be a heavier garment all in all. And using 3 strands obviously uses more yarn. I've estimated I need 4 skeins if I hold it double. So I reckon it'll be 5 to 6 skeins if I hold it in if I hold 3 strands of yarn parallel, it doesn't really cause much trouble because I've got a huge cone of Lino Muka in this marine blue colorway. I work for Wollen, which is the mothership for Lino Muka. It's the in-house yarn brand in the wool shop where I work. So I happen to be lucky and get a huge cone, which currently is connected to my 3rd and, well, not final swatch for the Lino Muka, there'll be more, but holding it just single, because I can imagine with this whole, you know, weight and drape issue that it could be nice using the yarn just, yeah, single, but on very, very fine needles. So what is it I've swatched on? I think it's a 2.75, yeah. These are my Chiagu lace needles in a 2.75, which is a needle that I knitted the Mount Pleasantey on held double last year. So I had a much denser fabric. I really love that shirt. So this will obviously be a bit of a different, it would be a very different Ranunculus, because it would be very light and airy, and it would be at a complete different gauge. But it could help me with other choices, because I've actually made a little secret inner list of what other patterns I would want to knit with the Lino Muka, and I'm going to share a bit about that now. But first I'm going to show you all my Ranunculus swatches in a little flat lay, so you have a bit of a visual concoction of my 3 swatches. I'm halfway in this because I reckon for the Ranunculus it has disqualified, because I've decided it'll either be my original plan holding 2 strands, or will be the kind of tighter gauge holding 3 strands. However, I might continue with the swatch for one of the other patterns which I'm about to mention. So for now, my Ranunculus swatches for your visual feast. That are kind of floating around in my head about or for the linomukakal that I would really like to knit as well. I'm not saying I will manage to knit all of these, but I'm gonna suggest them here just as kind of adding to the pool of ideas of what we can knit. There is this amazing top, the Argil top from Pom Pom issue number 29 last summer. It is this is the front cover. I really loved this issue. And the Argil top has got this nice little knotted detail. It's got lines, I think they're simple welts going this way and that. And it would be a really nice project for using contrasting Lino Muka. I'm not swatching for it yet. Let's wait. Maybe later on in this knit along I will have time, because we are knitting from the 1st of April to the 1st of July, so plenty of time, and all my ideas are just flowing around in my head, so they might materialize or they might not, but I am super excited to share ideas with you. So the Argil top from Pom Pom issue 29 is one. Then, and this is where the swatch comes in, I would really love to make the Heya tank, which is currently a free pattern. I don't know for how much longer. By Kyombi, with her name, I will put down here. She has got some lovely patterns on Ravelry and is maybe famous for modeling. Well, she's famous for her patterns and her creativity, but she modeled the Knits About Winter book for Emily Foden, her and her sister. And I really love the Heya tank because it's a very simple, very flowy, summery tank. Really nice in this dark blue, very loosely knit. So should I have some left on this cone after I've knitted the Ranunculus, I'm really thinking about knitting the Heya top. It's a really nice, flowy silhouette, simple, kind of steeped V-neck and wider straps, very loose and flowy and summery. And as she has made the pattern available on her Ravelry, I think just now, for free, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna swatch for it and see what happens. So I think this is where the swatch might come in handy, because I might have to change needles again and just try around. So I'm leaving it on the needles for the time being, because I'm considering the Heya tank by Kyombi to be knitted. Very excited to have more ideas for this marine blue, because I obviously have quite a lot. So that is one of the patterns. Another pattern, which is the one I've cast on the 1st of April, and which I can finally show you, and that will brighten up your day, is the Solasta sweater by Amalia, who is Kindred Red. Again, I'll put her full name here and the name of the pattern. This again was a pom-pom pattern in the most recent issue, issue number 32, spring of this year. And I spoke about this in the last podcast. Here. It's this amazing flowy, puff-sleeved, floaty, marled yoke, floaty, puff-sleeved beauty that was designed mainly, I think the main yarn is usually a yarn that is alpaca by Lang, and then you're using Kindred Red, so Amalia Sieber's own yarn company, in this rad sock, this kind of super shiny neon. However, I'm knitting with Lino Muka because we have this amazing neon yellow Lino Muka, and I just love this color. It's actually one of my, you know, colors that when we sell it in the shop I always go, yes, it's so nice and loud. I never really knew where and when I would knit something for myself with it. So in this Solasta sweater design, I can finally go all the way out with this yarn. I think it's perfect. And I chose a very violety, hushy blue, yeah, what would you call this? Like a, I don't know. This color is just, oh, I wanted to make something in this color for myself. And I think it works marled with the neon. Obviously it subdues the neon and the linen color quite a bit, but I still think it will shine like pops. So I have knitted all of the ribbing at the top. It's gonna be held double, so I'm gonna try and show you. So it would be like this, because you do a provisional cast on, then you knit straight and purl one row, and then you knit down again. And now the next step which I'm gonna film as a little outro thing later, is me knitting together the provisional cast on stitches with my live stitches now, and then it will be kind of a double folded brim, and I love that. It'll sit really nicely and it has a bit of weight through the linen. I reckon it'll be the same in the sleeve cuffs, and again maybe on the bottom. I'll see. I haven't read all the way to the end of the pattern, so I'm gonna just see very soon, or maybe read it. And then you will have marling stripes, and that is what causes this effect. What causes this effect with the marling coloured end bits will happen, and you know, I've got a bag full of all the colours I dream to knit, and then some like little bits of linen and leftovers from my last year's projects, and some colours that I think work really well. I've swatched but forgot the swatch in Wollen in the shop, which is kind of okay, but I had to call my colleagues to measure my gauge, and I'm like on gauge, which is really nice. And I think by using, and you can maybe tell in this picture, by using lighter and darker colors, you get this kind of effect of depth, and it's kind of fun. So I'm gonna carry on playing around with that. I guess starting from today, because I'm at that point. Yes, I'm so excited to knit the Solasta with all my Lino Muka scraps, and I bought the neon yellow in order to make the ribbing, plus 2 skeins of this, which is ANGORA2 by Midara. It is by the Angora goat, so a mohair. It's a bit confusing that it says this. It's 50% mohair, 30% acrylic and 20% wool, and it has it will be a very similar floaty sweater. These ANGORA2 skeins are actually like the dark horse in our wool shop, because you pay, I think, $6.95 per skein. And if you imagine, I will use these 2 skeins plus 1 skein of Lino Muka, which costs €5, and then Lino Muka scraps and fun leftovers from past projects. I must have admitted I bought a couple of colors, but we have these kind of €1 skeins, so which are really kind of small bits of Lino Muka, and it's perfect. All in all, I reckon if I say I buy 5 of those minis, that's €5, €5 for this neon yellow, and let's say 2 times 7, you can calculate that is a super affordable sweater, and it's brand new, and it'll feel light, refreshed and modern, and I'm really happy. So I estimate it'll be like a €25 sweater. I mean, are you tempted? I'm like super tempted, just because the design is amazing. I love what Amalia did with the design. She's just cast on her own to knit since the release, so I'm happy to join her finally and to show you here that this is one of my kind of scrappy Lino Muka scrappy projects for the linomukakal, because that's also very supported. Also, you can pick out your whip and carry on knitting that. If you've started already last week, honestly, there's no stress. It's all about knitting together using our lovely Lino Muka, which I'm obsessed with for summer. So I'm excited to get started in April, hoping that by like the hot time in summer I have a few of these really nice linen tops. I also plan, because you must have seen that I have quite a few leftovers, plus yeah, this is also from my top from last year. I knitted them unpleasantly in vintage. And I crocheted the, what's it called? Oh god, I crocheted a really lovely bag from the summer issue, Pom Pom, in this colour, which is brick. And it's chocolate brown. I bought a mini for that. I've got some off-white and some turquoise. This is another really lovely colour, Japanese Sunset. And I'm gonna use all of these in a kid's top, because another knit along that will start just a couple of weeks away from now. On the 1st of May is my Magic 3 make along, and in that we make sets of 3 items for our children. And I want to make a Parachutey from linen, which is a Stephen West design where you knit sideways in stripes, and it's also the idea of using up scraps in different colors. However, I thought it would be amazing in linen, so I'm gonna make a child version, a smaller version, which I have been hugely inspired by my friend Julia, who is me and Simone on Instagram, and she has knitted some mini Parachuteys for her kids and for a friend's baby, or I think her nephew or niece. So yeah, I'm gonna make a Parachutey inspired by Julia, using all the kind of end bits, and it's gonna be lovely adding like pops of neon to these colors, and you'll see me play with colors and stripes, really fine stripes, because I don't care about weaving in ends in the end. That's part of the fun for me. Like it calms me right down to weave in ends. So I'm gonna have so much fun during the Magic 3 Mile Lino Muka crossover in my podcast. So you wait and see. And Stephen West, forever my, yeah, I love his stuff. So fun. So I'm excited to film some of these colors for you now, and film my knitting of the Solasta for the linomukakal as a little outro of inspiration and intro to the giveaway winner, because I had a little Yarnchix giveaway, like a Yarnchix Podcast giveaway, for the Ranunculus sweater with yarn, enough Lino Muka from our shop Wollen. And I'm so excited that both Midori and Ruta said, yeah, we'll sponsor the giveaway for the kickoff. And I'm gonna intro with lots of Lino Muka colors. I'm gonna show the winner being drawn with randomnumber.org. We had 66 valid entries. I'm so happy you all chose to join in this fun game, and hopefully one of you will be a super happy winner and join in the make along. You're all super invited to join the make along. Just get in touch through Ravelry. There is like a thread on my Ravelry group page, Yarnchix Podcast, and we'll chatter there and on Instagram. And so now, fingers crossed for you. Good luck. There can only be one winner. I'm sorry. I would have loved to give out 66 prizes, but I can't. So fingers crossed for you. Linomukakal giveaway. 66 valid entries that were like comments with a colorway you would like and with a friend that you were suggesting to maybe join it. In order to find a winner, I'm gonna use random.org. Let's see. So it'll be number 1 to number 66. That is all the entries that we've had. And I'm gonna already open up so I can read you this. Okay, generate. Number 43, Little Grandma's Garden, you're the winner! So Little Grandma's Garden says, my favorite color is linen blue. And they asked their friend lime green rose what favorite color they had. So congratulations, Little Grandma's Garden. We will send you everything you won in a little parcel very soon. Just let us know if you want to knit it in the linen blue. I'm gonna double check it's available because Wollen Berlin is actually selling out of linen relatively quickly with all the summer knits coming up. And then we'll calculate how much you need for your size. Congratulations and thank you so much for playing, everyone. There will be little treats and giveaways every month in this make-along, so I'm excited for you to join with whips, with Ranunculus t-shirts, with all sorts of lovely linen knit and crochet and whatever skill you want to share with us. Please be in touch. See you later. Thank you for playing! Congratulations! Please get in touch via my Instagram as a DM or on Ravelry, and I can send you a surprise from me, some Lino Muka, which we will have to communicate about what color, what size you want to knit. I'll support with finding out how much yarn you will need. And then Midori will send you a PDF file via Ravelry, so you can, or as an email, depending if you're not on Ravelry, we'll work that out, so that you can join the make-along. As part of the kind of cast on and whip area, I'm gonna carry on talking about all my current knitting and all the other make-alongs I might be a part of currently. So you might have seen I took apart the sleeve for my Penguono project. It was already featured here as a finished object, but I decided to re-knit the sleeve in a longer, knit it longer. This pattern is also by Stephen West. As I just said, I'm a huge fan of his creative patterns, and I'm so happy now with this sleeve, because look, if I pop that on, it'll be now a bit like a summery coat, you know, with like a 3/4 length sleeve. Before it kind of finished above my elbow, and it didn't look so nice, and I had made a huge mistake on the other side. Basically on this side I had picked up way too many stitches, and I decided to frog that, to knit this sleeve in a way that I really like the sleeve, then write down exactly how many stitches I had, how many decreases and how long I made it, and I will copy that exact thing. So what's left to do is just pick up these stitches and then knit the second sleeve. I call this my strawberry minty because it has a very strawberry colored side and a very minty colored bluey green side. I just love it. It's so much fun. Tomorrow with leftovers, there's a couple of treasures in there. The sleeves are knitted with Bairoa, which is one of my most favorite Rosa Pomar yarns. A very nice earthy yarn with these kind of brown parts to it, so it's kind of drizzly, stripy, and it is also down here in a turquoise. It will be in this sleeve that will be all in a kind of minty green color, and yeah, I'm super excited. So this is definitely one of my current happy whips. Like, I'm super thrilled to get it right the second time around. Like, it inspires me to be this on point. Like, you know, being a perfectionist is sometimes tough. It's hard because you struggle with yourself. You know, you're the only one who you're struggling with, because no one else would have noticed what I was noticing or why I was unhappy with the project. So now getting it right and properly right will make me feel extra fulfilled and happy, and it will be a really well-worn, often worn project. So I'm super, yeah, I'm pleased I'm at this point where I have knitted the sleeve and fixed it so that I'm 100% happy with it, ready for the second sleeve, so that I can, you know, get going and have it as a really cool, fun spring coat. It will be my coat for spring, which is exciting. Another thing that I've currently got on my needles lives in this bag, because it's a well and truly unearthed whip. I don't think I've ever shared it on the podcast. I'm very happy. I think I might have when I wound this amazing Southdowns yarn. Bought at EYF, Edinburgh Yarn Fest, and including these two other mini skeins. Southdowns yarn is a yarn by Louise, who lives in the, well, near where my mother-in-law lives, actually near Brighton, in the South Downs. And it's a single breed yarn, and she naturally dyes it, and I was so happy that she had a stall at the last Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Exactly a year ago I bought this during the Make event on the Sunday, and I'm so thrilled. So all of this together will become Winston Leon, a little lion patterned by Cynthia Vallée, from Cynthia, and I have unearthed it. I knitted just the nose. I think it's that way around. Just the kind of snout. Because the next bit is where these two colours will come in, the big mane of the lion, and I think I just got a bit of a knitter's block, and I wasn't going through with it and learning the skill, which I super regret in the last knit alongs. So I was chuffed to bits when she announced she's having the Winston and Friends, no, Myrtle and Friends remote mal, and knit along especially for now and these times where we're sat at home, and it's so nice to be toy making. It is really helping me calm down to pick this up. I basically picked it up. I had just knitted the nose, I've just picked it up, and I've come to like the row just after where you add your little markers for where you're gonna put the eyes in. And I will make my way to the main, and I will go through with it, and I'm super happy to have like a group of makers who are all knitting along a toy. And whatever toy, because there is Myrtle Bear, which I have knitted, and there is a new one, the Bunny Odile. And I'm super excited to be making Winston Leon, and I think there is currently a pattern about to be released, Molly Mole, which I'm mega excited. I really want to knit a mole, which is basically gonna be lots of stuff happening for me during the Magic 3 make along, coming from the amazing brain of Cynthia. Cynthia is a huge inspiration. She helped me with my Magic 3 make along in the past, and she's just been a really steady, good maker friend. So I'm excited she's hosting a make along, and I can join in with these super treasured yarns. Another entry for me alongside the penguin to the Stash Down Together mal, because this is all knitted from stash and unearthed stash, and this is definitely happy treasure stash. And the Stash Down Together mal is an initiative by Fran, who also writes about it on her Ravelry page. Fran has the Wollen Podcast and is a dear friend. Fran also makes these amazing teddies. This is Lavande, one of Fran's, like my 40th birthday present from Fran. I absolutely love her. I will kind of make little bits of clothes and things during all the make-alongs that there are. Maybe I'll use one of the patterns from Cynthia's clothes for Lavande. Who knows? I'm gonna just play around with it. I'm excited. And I think if I am right, then Fran is thinking about hosting like a teddy bear make-along. It's definitely a skill that I will put in like the future mode, but maybe you're a teddy bear maker, or you dream to make teddy bears, so I'm sure she is happy for anyone joining in. So that is a toy that keeps me happy, my Lavande. And I think I showed in the last podcast I made the little Fern the cat, which was a pattern from the making zine lines from, I think that was 2019 or 2018 already. Oh my god, it's one of the back copies, and I found Fern the cat ornament pattern in there. And used some of my recent acquisitions, which is plant dyed felt by Atelier Ariadne, a Swiss maker and plant dyer, and I just loved, you know, stitching a little bag for Fern, and Fern herself is from plant dyed felt, and I used Lino Muka for the bag to crochet the little strap and some kind of scrappy fabrics that I'd found in the street for the dress, and it just kind of kept me going. And it shows like toy making it's not just like making the toy for someone, it's also the process of making it that engages you to kind of wind down, slow down, and think and smile. Think about your inner child and smile, I reckon. Look, I learned little button joints so I can move it, which is all things that in the actual Fern, the cat ornament pattern, it's, you know, you all stitch this down, but you know, it's more of a joyful toy in this way. I loved making her. Yeah, she's got Lino Muka face embroidery in her little bag. So that was a little kind of toy making spill. And I should now start with my finished objects, because you might have seen on my Instagram that I have finished a sweater. This is the super amazing Snow Crocus pattern, and look at the sleeve detail. It was hard to show in the photograph, it's even hard to show on camera. It's this really nice puff sleeve with cable running down from the shoulder. And yeah, Midori is an amazing designer based near Bremen, I think in Bremen, so that's near Hamburg. It's not so far from Berlin, like 3 hours away maybe. And she designs sweet cabled and otherwise lacy and beautiful designs. I used the Delana Merina Autochtona, which is the original yarn the design is made in the sort of melange brown color, and it's lovely. I'm gonna pop it on. I mean, there's no real FO showing if you don't put the sweater on, right? I don't know if this cardigan will work with it. And look at the sleeve. Kind of has this longer cuff. I shortened it a little bit because I didn't want it too long. I guess it's there so that you have this kind of blousey effect. And then this sweet cable detail. The pattern is called Snow Crocus pattern, and I think it's exactly this kind of cable shape, which is like the snow crocus coming out from earth in spring. It's perfect. And then the amazing cable feature on the sleeve. And just this yarn is very lovely and woolly and light. I think in total my sweater weighs 330 grams. I had about 20 grams left of one of the yarn skeins. Hence I've used just under 7 balls of the Delana, and they cost €5.40. Again, a very affordable knit. Part of this lightness of the sweater comes from knitting on 6mm needles. I think they must be maybe Midori's favorite needle size. I'm not sure, it's just a guess. But I'm very chuffed to have such a really lovely sweater with Spanish, so European wool, all locally sourced to them, and it was really easy to order online. I love supporting their work, especially because after blocking, it kind of smells sheepy happy, but in a kind of earthy, subtle way. And it bloomed like nothing else ever did that I knitted with. Maybe Lopi, you can kind of relate it to that, but it's much softer, and yeah, the stitch definition is lovely. And it's just been one of my funnest test knit experiences. I finished what I had to finish, and I think I talked about this in the last podcast, within the test knit period, but I didn't finish the whole sweater. I finished that on I think the 29th or 28th of March, so a very recent finished object, and I'm super chuffed. I wear it a lot with my jeans, but I can imagine it also being like a top layer when you go out and it gets a bit colder in summer, and you just pop on over a dress. Or yeah, I knitted the M2 size. I think I will knit it again because I like it very much, and I would be going down one size and knit the M1 to have a snugly fit one. Have a sweater, a Snow Crocus pattern sweater that is kind of more snug and neat. And I knitted the what do you call this bit? The collar. I knitted on a much tighter needle than the pattern suggested, because I didn't want to have like a standy up collar, but I might do that for one that is smaller in total. So you know, I kind of like playing with a pattern like that and making it work for me what I envisaged the sweater to be like. I kind of wanted it to have a collar, this kind of wide ribbed collar, but it kind of chinching in at the top, and I think it's worked. I'm happy. I don't know how to film it. Maybe I should show you some of the photos I took, and then I will go over to my next finished object. I guess I'm gonna stay in this sweater now. So my second finished object of this episode is a pair of socks. It is my Kia sock, and I'm gonna show you the one that is on the sock blocker, because I've only got one sock blocker. And this was the last sock I finished. I knitted this Kia sock in the Rambler yarn, which is a BFL Massam nylon blend by lovely Zivi of Phileas yarn. And this color is called Dios de Mortis. Day of the Dead. I love this kind of, the background is not just white, but it's got a very gentle pink hue. And I decided on a really black contrasty heel and toe. The yarn, I don't know if you can tell, in the skein it went from very kind of pixelated to more stripy. You can see this on the foot. So I knitted the two cuffs first, so that the cuffs would be the same. And then again, and then I finished the foot. So both the cuffs have this more speckled way, and then the darker stripy bit is in the foot. I'm happy with that. It's actually a technique that I have now started, and you will see in a project I'll show you next, my kind of upcoming sock project. I'm going to carry on doing that because it actually helps me to knit the leg or both legs first and then start the foot, because that means the second sock syndrome is I've kind of fooled myself, because then I just have to cast on from here and knit the heel and the foot and the sock to finish and have 2 finished socks. It helped me with this, although I was a bit slow. Kia Socks is a lovely pattern by sweet Dawn, who is Dawn Henderson, and by Dawn Henderson, who is Dawn Landix on Instagram. Her designs are so cool. I love all her sock designs. I've got a couple in my sock knitting waiting list. Some of them are actually short legged ones, more like kind of jogging shorter socks, and as I've now got a nice pair of trainers, I think they'll be perfect for me to carry on knitting. The Kia Socks pattern was is a free pattern by her, but I always suggest, if ever you do purchase or get a free pattern, check if someone's got a coffee, so you can at least buy them a coffee as a thank you for all their work and effort to design a nice pattern. And yeah, the Kia Socks are a really nice pattern. I've got more whips involving Dawn's designs on my needles. I'm going to share them on Instagram soon with a little whip down together flat lay, to be honest, and show all the whips I've got, because now with linomukakal I'm going to have so many new works in progress. It will only be fair to share a little flat lay of all my little projects that I've unearthed recently and that I want to finish and I'm working on and I'm committed to. And I have got a little bit more time because Easter break has finally started in Berlin, so we will be home. We're staying home. We're not doing any going to the countryside or anything. We're just here, and so I will be knitting and sorting out the house and being with my children. So I will do that. It's coming to my Instagram, and then we'll come to the next podcast here in a couple of weeks. But for now, you've got to just accept me saying I've got more whips. Oh, I do. Okay, my sock whip. I'm going to share that, and then it should be the knit reportage as well as the tarot knit oracle. My other sock whip. So since finishing the lovely Kia Socks by Dawn in the Phileas yarn, and the contrast yarn was actually a Lang Javol, very basic yarn, a kind of normal sock yarn. I have started these, and like I've said, already got 2 cuffs. They are the Midnight Dancer sock by Sari Nordlund, and I'm using the most amazing sage colorway twist sock yarn by Ocean by the Sea. And Ocean Rose is a beautiful person and a lovely friend of mine who gave me this as a present when we last met in London and hung out. And she dyes with plant dyes, and this is just so amazing because it's like a barely touched sage truth because sage has this, you know, it has this kind of white yet grey yet green thing that goes on with it, and I am very chuffed. I think I'm about there. I'm about the same length. I think it's just a couple of rows and I will be at the point where I want to start the heel and then foot of the sock, which I will knit in a different yarn. I'm gonna use Jawohl sock again, so I will have this kind of earthy grey, more greyish grey. So I'm trying to reflect Ocean's colourway name, the Sage, in this sock project, whereas now the foot will be going greyish towards brown, and I think I'm gonna knit the toes in a kind of brown grey darker tone again, so it kind of fades almost like a sage leaf fades into the branch of the sage plant. I'll try to take some pictures to, yeah, I'm gonna like film a little flat lay of my socks and take a picture of what I tried to do, because I have got sage branches from my garden and I make like sage smoke smokers, like räucher thing myself from my garden. So I'm not sourcing this overseas and destroying sage plants elsewhere, but I'm using the sage plant from my garden to make these, and it just kind of inspired me to look at Ocean's yarn name and kind of carry on with that and use Sari's amazing sort of, yeah, the pattern is so cool. I love it. It's so 90s dancey, and now that I've got my also very 90s or 80s colored trainers, I made the cuff quite low, so it'll, you know, you'll see it'll be quite like funky socks, quite joyful, playful thing. And I'm using the sage plant, which is kind of a plant ally for me, like a, as they say, botanical pick-me-up. So I'm gonna kind of tell that story of the sage branch with these socks. I'm very excited. New pair of socks on the needles, and because they're short, with short legs. Do you say legs? Or the leg of the sock is quite short. I reckon I'll get them done relatively quickly. Very excited to be knitting these socks next and sharing some of the pictures with you now. Is us finding a little hidden something, like a little gem in a wasteland nearby. There's lots of graffiti art and you can go skating. There's like flat area so the kids can inline skate and yeah, cycle easily. A lot of kids go there, but it's empty, so I guess it's staggered, or it's being used, but it's not crowded, and it's like a 5-minute walk from here, so it's kind of nice to find places that are intriguing or special right now and not so far away. I go past there a lot when I go for walks with my dog, and it is actually a tree house hidden in the back of this wasteland, and I thought someone built that there, and with free material, I think, because there's lots of trash you'll see flying about and lots of graffiti going on in this funny corner of that wasteland. But I thought it's still kind of a nice little thing. And from my zines, you might know, in the very first zine I have a treehouse poem, and I thought I'd read that to you, and it kind of melting over into the little treehouse knit reportage. Stay around for the Tarot Knit Oracle, which will happen at the very, very end. This time's question came actually from my friend Katrin, who was so kind to reach out to me and ask, can you please ask the cards, like, how can we stay true to ourselves now that we're using all this social media to connect to people? You know, we're on Zoom, we're on Skype. How can we stay true to our own voice in these times that are actually quite tumultuous internally, maybe as well, and then we start and connect digitally on Zoom or have Skype meetings or do write a lot on social media. How can we kind of stay true to our own voice? So I will ask my tarot knit oracle for all of us on behalf of Katrin, but it's definitely something that, you know, matters to all of us at the very end, so you can stay around for that. For now, I say thank you for joining me today, and you can always join me over on Patreon to see more of my process and behind the scene and get some podcasting tips and tricks now, or get some more content from me, blogs and zines. This month all these zines will be up as PDFs, so I'm making digital copies of all the past zines, and you will get them bit by bit in this kind of phase. In the next, there's 6 zines, so in the next 6 weeks I will upload them all so that there are reading material for you to have if you're a zine subscriber over there. Maybe you've got some of these copies at home, but maybe some of them you haven't had, so it'll be nice for you to delve back into some of my material. I'm very happy that I have lovely support over there. And for now, I'm gonna read you a poem that was published in my very first zine called The Tree House, and it will melt over into some visual for the knit reportage. Tree House. Come to the palace where the wild bees can hide. We can find solace, barky trees can hide. Me and you blending in, wearing our hearts on our sleeves, like all the trees without leaves. And the dog who barks to hear his own echo will sing us his lullaby. And you and I, we sit and let the sun set. Then, just for the fun of it, we can both sit on the swings. Yes, there are 2, like me and you. And we can laugh at the sight of the Milky Way. Tell the stars, yes, yes, this too shall pass. And they will shine endlessly, endlessly bright, far away and quite, and every day anyway. Come to the palace where we will find solace.